Hey everybody. So I wanted to, chime in and talk about my take on this whole P Diddy trial. And it's not even really about P Diddy per se. It's about everything that I've been speaking about. If you've been looking at my videos, outside of me showcasing what's going on in Grenada, I've been talking a lot about being a parent. And I had one particular post where I said, when you have a baby, you're not raising a child, you're raising a human being. And I think it got a couple of views and one like. And some of my other videos, when I talk about parenting, it gets a few views and a few likes. And you know what that says to me? It says to me that people really don't, take the job of being a parent seriously. They really think this thing is a joke, right? So the thing is, you have children, and I think for a lot of people, they're in love with, you have your baby, you bring them home from the hospital, and you got this little bundle of joy, and, you're singing songs to them, and, you're clapping hands, and they're saying their ABCs, maybe if you're reading to them and teaching them something before they go to school, and you're so into, putting the barrettes in their hair and making sure they have a fly haircut and they have the latest Jordans and they got their Timberlands and they look good every time you see them. They're dressed. And, for the people that live in the Caribbean, you're making sure people sending down barrels with stuff for them. And on the outside, it really looks good. You're putting on a really good show. But what kind of character are you building inside of that child? And that's what I be talking about on my videos. When I talk to you about how important it is in regards to how you're raising your children, because I talked about the fact that, the things that children experience when they're young, it shows up when they become an adult. And then what makes me laugh is that when the kids become an adult now and they start doing craziness, the parents are sitting there going, how did that happen? Like, where did that come from? And I'm not saying there's some kids that are doing things that are contrary to the way that they were raised. But I strongly believe that that is a minority. I think the majority of the behaviors that people exhibit when they get into their adult lives are really based upon how they were raised. And I think the reason why people don't want to agree with that is because they don't want to take accountability. Because again, I think people are in love with the fact of having a baby, but they're not in love with the job that needs to be done to raise a decent human being. They're not in love with that. That's the last thing that's on their mind. The only thing that's on their mind is the fluff, the surface level stuff. We're not trying to raise children to have a good character, to be well educated, to be well rounded, to be grounded spiritually. And a lot of that is because we ourselves are not even together. We don't even make sure that before we decide to bring children into this world, that we are ourselves together. We bring them here, and again, it's just a lot of surface level foolishness. As long as my child looks good when they go outside, their hair is done, again, they have a fly haircut, they got on the latest Jordans. This is all that people are concerned about. A lot of parents are not concerned whether or not these children are learning anything in school. They're not concerned that they have a solid foundation. So when they go out into the world, that they are prepared. It's just a lot of bunch of surface level stuff. And I think for some parents, after a while, they just let the kids raise themselves. They feel when they get to a certain age, they'll just raise themselves. Right? They just let them do whatever. And then they sit there and go, I'm not understanding why they're behaving this way. When I'm sitting here watching this case, I'm seeing a lot of stuff going on here. Again, if you're only looking at it from a surface level, you'll just see, this guy, he's in the music business. He have a lot of women. He's a freak. This girl, she got with him and she decided that she just wanted to do this. Why didn't she leave? These are all the surface level questions, but nobody wants to dig down deep into this situation. One of my videos, I talked about the fact that when you're broken, you go out into the world and you find other broken people and they feel like home. It should be obvious to you, if you're thinking logically, that obviously something had to be wrong with her to be involved with somebody like that. And if you're thinking logically, you would realize that this man is mentally insane. And the only reason why he was able to play out his insanity even more than the regular person is because he had money. The money allowed him to do all the things that I guess some people who are just like him, if they had money, they would behave the same way. But they too broke. They don't have the money that he has. So he has money and he can act any kind of way that he wants because he can pay for whatever. And not only that, the money gave him power. The money opened up doors for him that a normal person would not be able to get through. So you have all of this going on and you got a ticking time bomb there. So now we're watching this trial every day and we're listening to the details of this trial and we're hearing all of this crazy stuff. And, again, real surface level, but I don't think people are digging because he didn't just end up like that. Something happened. I want you to think about, I think he's 55, 56. 55 or 56 years ago, his mother brought him home from the hospital. She fawned over him. Everybody fawned over him. What a beautiful baby. They bring gifts. You watch him get his first teeth. You watch him sit up for the first time. You watch him take his first steps. You send him off to the first day of school. You watch him graduate from elementary, middle, high school, eventually go on to college. Then now he's this big mogul. Wow. All of that. But somewhere inside of there is a broken person. What did mom and dad, what role did they play in that? So that's the reason why I'm always making these videos about being a parent. Because imagine at 85 years old, 55 years after you gave birth to your child, you have to be sitting in a courtroom right now, listening to this, listening to hear that your son is peeing in someone's mouth. How do you think she's feeling right now? And the way some of you guys are going, you're going to have horror stories too if you don't get yourself together. Be a parent to your child, or this will be your story too.